You? Okay, thank everyone again. Takideles, everyone, welcome again, as I said already. Welcome. Again, we're gathering here for one really purpose, to discussing a little bit, kind of reminding to each other our practices, our heart-filled practices, and which is nothing but loving kindness, compassion, joy and appreciation, and stay peaceful, peace and harmony. Myself, yours, everyone, we in that. How to activate those beautiful qualities. We stay meaningful, something rewarding in this life. Life is not long, supposed to be, according to the teaching, what everyone says. Not long. But while we are here, and as long as we are on this earth, our responsibility to be happy, peaceful, make happy and peaceful others as much as we can. Stay with that, and we spend a life with that. I think then we are quite good. Really, we are making meaning of lives, not wasting time and spoil the time of ours and others, all those who are connected to us. That's quite good. So for that reason, we are discussing, engaging, and exploring of the teaching of our gracious teacher, Buddha Shakyamuni. This connected to the teaching is not just a kind of coincidentals. According to Buddhism, it has so many beautiful reasons, causes on the behind the scene that maybe we didn't really spot it very much. But it has so many beautiful causes and conditions in both that situations. Not just only that, we have beautiful lives. We are all decent human beings, quite okay human beings. This is also not just a casual. According to Buddhism, life is precious. Particularly practitioners. This life of the practitioners is very, very precious. What we call 18 endowments, 8 freedoms, 10 luxuries. Those all we have, those who are here with us. These 18 endowments, generally it is always with us as long as we live that. But the 10 of these luxuries, many times is fluctuating. You read, you reflect those each of the luxuries. Read and check up to ourselves, one's own self. My question, I'm check up. How many of those luxuries I have now? Maybe we started all the 10 luxuries. And then the time is moving, well, along the time, maybe we really skipped quite a few of those things, fluctuated. If that is so, this is our responsibility to activate that, to bring that in the full 10 luxuries. And with this thought, with those understandings, again, we're going to reflect the teaching of the gracious teacher Buddha Shakyamuni and Gurapa Sambhava. And for that reason, again, we bring what? Joy and appreciations. And bodhicitta. And purity understands. Those are, again, vital of our practice. Changing our motivation is the foundation, and keep that motivation where we practice it is central columns. And we keep continuing that, it will bring the fruit, result of that what we motivated, what we are thinking of that. It really will bring that. So therefore, all those beautiful motivations, intentions, should activate it, and then we reflect the teaching. Today we are reflecting, going through the teaching of his teachings of His Holiness Dudjom Rinpoche, heart advice to the fortunate ones. That is what we are going again. This time, today, I'm going to conclude of these teachings, what we've been going through this teaching. Slowly by slowly, exploring the meaning of each of those lines of the world, and we went deep many of those. Really, we went deep. Even I never thought we will do that. But then it happened. We did, really deep. In a way, I feel happy with that. We went thoroughly, very steadily, and went one after another, touching to the core of our gracious teaching, Buddha Shakyamuni's teaching, or the teaching of a lineage, and connecting that to our heart. We heard all these things, what I said these past years, and on this teaching, I'm sure you all heard that. But it's in vague memories, in notebooks, or some kind of other place. But we went through this. That one after another, we refreshed our memories. Some degree, not maybe all of you, but few of you, that we refreshed our memories and understanding of dharmas. And so that's what I'm very happy with that. And today we're going to go last part of these teachings. Last part of this teaching is then, as we discussed the other day, is the ending of this teaching of the His Holiness Dudjom Rinpoche is the Inner Tantra teachings. Inner Tantra. Inner Tantra is Mahayoga teaching, Anu Yoga teaching, and Ati Yoga teachings. So it is really Inner Tantras. All Vajrayana teachings are summarized into two groups. Those are known as visualization of the creation stage practices and completion stage of the dissolving practices. Those are two practices. And so here, what we went to other day, and which is clearly His Holiness Dudjom Rinpoche mentioned here. Mentioned in this page 2, in the middle of the page 2, said, Lama and the Yadams are inseparable from one's own mind. So that means Lama, Yadam, on Dakinis, all is within our nature of the mind. That is the foundation. That is what our mind represented, embodies all of those Dakinis. Now when you activate those deities or the gurus or the Dakinis, then what is known as the development stages or the visualization. If I use a simple word, visualization stage is inseparable from visualization stage, meditating is all appearing to be empty as moon in the reflection in the waters. Visualization, as of course we all know, visualization is a complete stage, what called the developing creation stages. Ever use the word creation stages or visualization stages? Most of the time we visualize ourselves, kind of focus on one's own self is in a different Buddhas or different enlightened stages. We visualize that. But here, what is said, all the appearance, every appearance is the enlightened status. Every appearance. So that means all the forms are enlightened status. Bring up that realization, maintaining that is the visualizations. How that visualization is, as in the teaching said here, reflection moon in the waters. It is translucent status. How that is, we discussed the other day, and many of you already know what great teacher Buddha said. Form is emptiness, emptiness is the form. So that means visualization is emptiness. Emptiness is the visualizations. That is what it is. The everything. So that means whole universe, the world, is as a reflection moon in the waters. Whole universe is empty. That empty is in appearance status. That is purity status. What in the teaching Gohen Garbhata says, on the relative truth, everything is pure. Relative truth, everything is purity status. So that means 5 aggregates are 5 Dhyana Buddha, 5 elements are 5 female Buddhas. Every combination, those aggregate elements are divine mandalas. There's nothing else beside is enlightenment. So that all enlightened status. That is in purity, pure status. Everything is enlightened status. And now, how that is on the absolute level, then it is said, reflection in the moon, in the water, is all empty. What do you see? What do you think? What do you hear? Or what we hear, what we see, what we think, is never separated from the emptiness. It's all within that state. Of course, you know this. We heard this so many times. In some degree, also we went analytically. This is all. That is what it is, and is going to discuss later too here. So we talk that. And then same thing here. Here said next one is the second is all the sound, verbal communications, verbal communication, everything is sound emptiness. That sound emptiness is known as mantras, divine voice. Mantra, which means protecting the diluted mind. Word, syllable that protect the diluted minds, or protecting that. So everything is a mantra. When you have the realization of everything is the purity status, there is no selected mantras. The all is mantras. All is divine sounds. Everything is enlightened status. Whole universe is enlightened status. So what is the selected guru of the mantras, this and that things? This is will, is vastness. The will, V-E-I-W. That our will is vast, is not limited, not restricted. The pervasives, every forms enlightened, every sound systems enlightened. How that happened? Then here he only says, the next one said, all of this, third one, all this is the display of the one's own single awareness, dharmata, to true natures. Why all that is enlightened status? Because everything is a display of the dharmatas. Dharmata means true nature, or the great emptiness. Dharmata is also means the what's called dharma dhatu, true natures, absolute status, great emptiness, mother of all the Buddhas. That is what really referring of this dharmatas. And where is that dharmata? We to discover that. According to Dzogchen teaching, here I started Dzogchen teachings. Started is all from our own mind, our rupa, our mind. Mind, nature of the mind. Nature of the mind and the deluded mind is different. This time talking nature of our or each of our mind is embodiment of three kayas. Is in three kaya status. And that is, of course, many of you receive the teaching, you all know. Emptiness aspect of the nature of the mind, or emptiness aspect of the rupa. If I use the Tibetan word rupa, is dharma kaya, the absolute forms. And clarity aspect of the nature of the mind, or the rupa, is the sambhokaya, the form of the richness. Sambhokaya is a luxurious body, luxurious form, or luxuries, all the luxuries, clarities. And the display aspect of the movement, or the display aspect of the nature of the mind is the nirmakaya that we heard. This is the ordinary three kaya. Our nature of the mind is original three kaya status. When it is reflected that original three kaya externally, then this is called the reflection of the three kayas. Reflections of the three kayas. That our dharmakaya of the nature of the mind, when it is reflected, it is known as space. S-P-A-C-E, space. It's reflections of our dharmakaya mind. Externally, spaces. This movement, clarity aspect of the nature of the mind, when it is reflected, that is known as the sound emptiness, sound. When the nirmakaya aspect of our nature of the mind reflected externally, all those are known as forms. So what else is there? As I mentioned a few times, and you all know, there's nothing else in this world beside form, sound, space. Or space, sound, and forms. That is reflection of our own nature of the mind or the rikpa according to Dzogchen point of views. In that level, as His Holiness Dudjom Rinpoche said here, the visualization aspect of the reflection of moon in water and sound system of the emptiness of the mantra is all display of our own awareness, true nature of the mind. Visualization is a display of our own mind, and sound system of the mantra is a display of our own nature of the mind. Therefore, there is nothing else beside display of our own nature of the mind or the three kayas. For that reason, great Master Lungchimba said in his teachings that everything everything is reflected from the Dharma Dhatu or the Dharma Kayas. Dharma Dhatus or Dharma Dhatu. Everything is reflected from Dharma Dhatu. There is nothing single object existing that which is not reflected from the Dharma Kaya. What that Dharma Kaya is talking now, we are not talking Dharma Kaya of someone else. We are talking to our individuals. Is all our environment. My environment, for example, individually, my environment, everything is really display, reflection of my own Dharmakaya nature of the mind, my own Dharmakaya, my own mind. There's nothing else beside that. So everything is reflected from these dharmatas. And what great Master Lungchima said, is this reflection of what you see externally, all see, is like ornament of our great awareness. Ornament, or it is a luxuries of our awareness mind. It's all luxuries. When this luxuries ornament, or when our mind or the Dharma Dhatu is reflected in the externally as the form systems, then all these universes, our environment is appeared. It is luxurious display of the forms of our awareness minds. When sound systems are everything, what you heard, what you see, is then sound system display, luxurious display of our minds. And then, as well as our all thought and conceptions, whatever we may have, all is luxurious displays of our, again, nature of the mind or the rupas. Reality, even you see all these displays everywhere and so many things, nothing is moved or nothing is changed out of the Dharma Dhatus or out of the true natures. Everything is within that nature status, Dharma Dhatu status. So that is really how everything. For that reason, here His Holiness Dudjom Rinpoche said, here, all this is display one's own single awareness, dharmata, the true natures. There is nothing else is existence. So this is, in order to get these realizations, of course we're discussing a little bit kind of intellectual level or like in reading the books that, but when you going to bring this realization, that intellectual idea, you have to bring to realization or your own really see vividly as it is. In order to that, then we have to follow all the instructions as we received, such as with the Mundo practices, refuges, developing bodhicattas, mandala offerings, and such as Vajrasattva practices, Guru Yoga practice. Those all really have to be followed according to the instructions. Once those are completed, and then you put the practice as Dzogchen teaching received. Then Dzogchen teaching, of course, you all know, we all heard, this is the highest teaching of the greatest teacher of the Buddha Shakyamunis. Highest teaching, the most profound teachings. Why is the highest teachings? This in the teaching said there's two reasons, principal two reasons. One is Dzogchen practices don't need effort. It's effortless practices. Second is reason. This is all the other teachings of the Buddhas. That means all the according to 9 yana teachings. Until the Dzogchen Ati, all yanas, all the teachings are designed to help to the conceptions. Help to the conceptions. What that means? Conception to the conceptions. And what in Gohengarbha Tantra said, in the teaching said, as long as the conception is existing, that long Buddha gave the teaching to dispel, conception teaching to discipline the conceptions. Or to tame, T-A-M-E, tame the conceptions. So that means all teachings are based on the conceptions, to help to the conceptions. How that is, for example, if I say, when we heard the teaching of the impermanent, teaching of the impermanent is the conceptions. What is helping? What is taming? Taming of the permanent notions, permanent conceptions. Taming the permanent conceptions. When we heard the teaching of the bodhicitta, I'm talking related to the bodhicitta. Related to bodhicitta. What is at bodhicitta, related to bodhicitta is teaching of the conceptions. But what is helping? It will tame the conception of the ego clinging or self-important. Self-important is taming the self-importance. When we receive the teaching of the visualizations, what is does? It is conceptions, visualization is conceptions. That's why it also is named creation stages. Creation. C-R-E-A-T-I-O-N. I think creations. Who is creating? One's own mind. And following the instructions. But what that will help is that conception, the creation state taming is the ordinary mundane rinjibad conceptions. Creation stage, when we do the visualization, how flexible. When we're talking about the 3 samadhis, emanating, transforming, this and that, is all just kind of almost like rolling. Almost it is what's called like waves and tides and ripples and just changing one after another, totally flexible. Our regiment, the ordinary conception, is a regiment. It's a conception, but regiment. Very kind of fixed mind, single-pointed mind. This has to be this has to be that. Where are we making that? It's all in the brain or in the conception. There is no different compartment of this fixing, that fixing, that fixing. It's all made up. Our mind. Ask ourselves, is true or not? We fix out those things. None of those current those fixations, none of those came when we was born. All that piled up, one after another. Just piled up one after become then this and that and that. And that also they kind of like become so many elaborated ones. But reality is conception. Visualization is then it's very flexible, dynamic, and open. Even though conception is changing the structure of the long running of our habit patterns. Really, it's kind of completely undermining. Many times people practice and think, oh, it's kind of scary. Scary, sometimes they say it. But who is scary again? It's conception. Where is that scare is existing? If we analytically, quantum physics level, if somebody asks where that existing. Everything. Nothing. Is all bubbles in the spaces of the mind. Mind. So therefore, until the Dzogchen teaching is helping to the conception helping to the conceptions. For Dzogchen is not conceptions, according to you. When you really recognize the nature of the mind, moment is introduced by the teachers, and you click to that nature. That is the absolute wisdoms. It's not conception. It's out of the freedom, free from the conceptions. For that reason, Dzogchen is the practice of the beyond the conceptions. So that reason, one of that is one reason. Therefore, this is high as the teaching. There's no need effort, said. Effort is, of course, very important. But on the ultimate state, when we are making effort, is again structural. Structural, it is making up things. Making up things. For those reasons, what in the teaching said, my great master Lungkimba, in one of his teachings said, don't contrive, don't corrupt, and don't contrive your own mind. Don't grasping to one's own mind. If you contrived, it will stir up the dusty of the mind. But if you relax, mind will bring the refined, pristine qualities in mind. Therefore, don't contrive or don't make any effort. Don't try to make something. Just relax. Be as it is. Carefree. Those all in the Dzogchen teaching said. Once it reach. For that reason, Dzogchen, but generally there is two Dzogchens. When we come to the Dzogchen practice, these two practices of the Dzogchen and the Toga practice of the Dzogchen that you all know, two practices. Particularly this two practice is known as the practices of the casual, relaxed, calm, peacefully be in that natural status. Without any contriving, without trying to do anything. That. And so, when you got these realizations, then the all is within the display. Within the display of the true nature, all these displays one's own single awareness, dharmata in the true nature. So that means all this nature, the form, sound, and as well as the smell, taste, all the display of the all five senses, as well as the object of five senses, everything within the nature state. There's nothing else outside. And be relaxing in that nature status. When you have that realization of the true natures of one's own awareness, there is nothing to be really what that going to help or that going to hurt me. All is just completely, please, there's nothing, none of those exist at all. That within that space, Dharmatam, when all is not really even that is. And that is called, then for that reason, so-called Nirvana and Samsara is the labels, is the label of the conceptions. There's none of those existing on the absolute levels, or this true nature of the minds. Mind, and therefore the hopes and fears is just the names. According generally in the Buddha's teaching or in the Buddhist practice, we're hoping for the nirvanas. We can't really trying to be escape from the samsaras. So this hope in the samsara, hope and fear is the generally fundamental cause of the samsara and the nirvanas. But when you have got the realization of the true nature of our own mind, then this hope and the fears are completely kind of like no meanings, no substantial existence, is all just only the names. And when you recognize the original inherited wisdom as it is, and that is then again, of course, when you recognize the original inherited your wisdoms, which means our own nature of the mind, when you recognize that. In order to recognize those in the Manet Dzogchen teaching and other teachings, how that mentioned. And first you discovered what is mind. And because mind is so important to all of us, ask what is really mind. And those all the instructions and the teachings that we applied, and particularly such as like where mind come from, where is mind now, where mind goes, kind of checking of all this about the mind in three different ways. When you see there is none of those really you have any answers, then what is mind? What left out? There's nothing that we can tell, pinpoint. When you, according to the teaching, when you reach to that point, actually really you are beholding the nature of the mind. You are beholding. You are seeing the glimpse of how the mind is. When we reach the speechless status, when we ask those questions, what mind in the past, what mind is now, what mind is the future. When you ask to myself or to ourselves, what answer we have? There's no answers according to Buddha's teaching or the great masters. We reach to the speechless status. That moment, almost we can say, when we chant the Heart Sutra practice at the beginning, inexpressible, inconceivable, that we're really experiencing that. Inexpressible, inconceivable. We can't say anything. That is nature of the mind, according to teaching. But to get it, there's fresh realizations. Of course, according to teaching, we have to have good, those like foundations of the merits, accumulation merits. All those really do as much as we, with devotion, bodhicitta, and that all will activate it. When you have that realization, then what? In the teachings, it said that the teacher, or when you receive the introduction of the introduction or the pointing out the instructions of the nature of the mind, when you really recognize that nature of the mind, now how you have to maintain in the according to Dzogchen teaching, you will maintain that or meditate that with the three immovable ways. Those three immovable ways, immovable of the body, immovable of our senses, immovable of our awareness, immovable ways. three immovable ways, well maintained, meditated that. When we get that, with that meditation, how we do our conduct. Conduct in the teaching says, through the liberating conducts. Liberating as it arises. Not analyzing, not following the different events, but or mental events, and liberating. Right at His own Dudjom Rinpoche said here too. Said here in following lines here. If through arising, if thought arising, let them come and let be self-liberated. Self-liberating that. So self-liberated. So this means how this is actually. So here said again. Maybe I just go one more again. So when you recognize the origin inherited the wisdom as it is, whether this through the instructions of the teachings or through the pointing out the teachings of the qualified teachers, when you recognize that nature of the mind, then there is nothing to do. Continually to maintain that nature status. He said there's activity will only add delusion. So there's nothing else to do, nothing else particularly really to perform any effortless, just relaxing in that nature status. As I said just now, just said that, and relaxing with three immovable ways. Relaxing body, relaxing sense, relaxing mind. That is. And what do you need? According to the teaching, keep the mindfulness. Mindfulness of the very gentle mindfulness, if I translate it. Or otherwise, in the teaching said, mindfulness of the ordinary natures. Relax. This is not also trying to watch, our thought is not watching someone else. But just relax. Relax, be aware. Maybe I will use the word aware. Be aware, relax in a natural status. That the ways, relax. And then, when that happened, any thought during that time comes, any thoughts come, let that go. Freely, he said. Let it stay naked mind, naked awareness. Our mind, our awareness, the ordinary awareness is naked. That means it's fresh. This is not cover up anything. Let it go as it is without analyzing, without holding anything or analyzing. Let it go. Let it go. When you able to do that, then everything become meditation. Everything become as natural status. So there is no kind of division between meditating and not meditating. It's also all name. Reality, you are or we are in a natural status. Natural state without covered up by the delusions or diluted by the delusions. That is. Delusions. And during that time, whatever thoughts are arising, let that thought arise. Whatever it is arising, don't prevent the thoughts. Here's it. Let that come thoughts. But as it comes, naturally, as it comes, you also let it go. Naturally, without analyzing. As wind comes in the sky, wind comes, wind goes. Just let as it is. It's the blowing energy of the mind. The thoughts are blowing energy of mind. Or another word in the teaching said, it is a display of the Nirmakayas. Those all, let it come, let it go, but you relax, or we relax on the present state of the nature of the mind. Relax. That. Then, if it is not thoughts arising, let it also be that state. You don't have to do anything. Be relaxes. During that time, if any kind of like those errors of the meditator, meditation is what in teaching said here. Here, topper and scattering mind. Topper and scatter. Those are the errors of the meditation, those are also comes naturally. It's nothing that we made any efforts or anything that. But when those comes, again immediately trying to aware of that situations. So if is like torpor or sinking mind. Yeah, torpor or the sinking mind. Saying is interpreted word means sinking mind, or it also means it is really become all kind of like dull, sleepy, and just a foggy, and the kind of like almost no clarity. That is sinking. So if that happened, that is the obstacles of the meditation. And as well as also scattered mind and kind of completely restless. Just one after another thoughts are coming, just so kind of more rapidly one after another coming, disturbing our meditation. Both are errors of the meditation. So trying to moment it they're coming, whether it is sinking, whether it is scattered, and trying to take care of that. How to take care of those? In the teaching said, sinking mind, you try raise up your awareness more on the high, kind of on the head, or even kind of like looking, raise up your consciousness. At the same time, you can also look eyes a little bit up in the sky, toward and widely, open widely eyes, relax that. And also you can do, maybe if you are alone, can do breathing purification exercise, or exhale strongly, increasing of the devotions in bodhicitta, reflecting strongly bodhicitta. May all living beings have the happiness and the cause of happiness. They may be free from the sufferings or cause of suffering. Really strongly thinking, reflecting the meaning that to those words and chanting that, or strong feeling of the richness, preciousness, and the devotions to the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, to the lineage, all my lives. Or reflecting sometimes to the like impermanent. Life is impermanent, but how lucky I am. I'm still here. I'm practicing, I'm helping, I'm doing good things. Can bring those attitudes for a few moments. It will help with the sinking minds. And it will help, without those mental activity will help to the scattered minds. It will really settle down our minds. It will help both. And then, so those are we need those immediate here said here, that if the pole of the meditation topples and scattered, should arise, dispel them on the spot. So that means just immediately, right there, take care and let that go and take care. When you do those things, what is? Then it will come all the what's called. Then it will bring the perfect clarity of the nature of the mind, and that is which is known as when clear light pervaded both night and day without any interruption. So that means now those practitioners can maintain our Dzogchen status or awareness status day and night. And during the daytime you maintain continually that awareness and the rupa status, and at night time also you go with that meditation or with that status, and that is known as then merging the day and the night in the clear light status. So what that clear light status? Then everything becomes as enlightened status of the three kayas, as we talking earlier. The Dharmakaya, Sambhokaya, Nirmakaya state of nature of the mind, all is really become in that status. And that moment when you reach that status, that is then also the result of the enlightenment. That is the enlightenment when you reach that status. And then there is nothing that we have to wait. Waiting result for the future is then, alala, how wonderful. That is that there is no need to hope to result in the future lives. And so that So here it said, please practice diligently in this way as mentioned to you all. And thus writing and sent by the Jibrahi Dorji. So that is brief talks or the summaries of these teachings. And again, what in this teaching we mentioned, what His Holiness Dudjom Rinpoche mentioned here. Here said this, as I said earlier, many times is the condensed really teaching of the entire Buddha's teaching, how to practices. And Buddha teaching is generally big and very deep, what's called almost 35 years, 45 years teachings. Buddha gave 45 years teachings, and those teachings are really so many. But we summarize all those teachings for the practitioners, for the simple way. This is what the really teaching is. This is the great master, His Holiness Dudjom Rinpoche teaching. And here he said, to the fortunate ones, I give these instructions. So this fortunate, that means who they are. We all are fortunate ones. We all connected to these teachings. We all connected to the teaching of the Buddha Shakyamuni and Gorapema Sambhava. And we are truly fortunate ones. We are. And therefore, to make our such a fortunate one, we are fortunate one, therefore even to make more fortunate and put this practice to the heart. And that is what, and he said, to make the simple way, what in the teaching often said, simple way to make the meaning for our own spiritual lives. Meaning for our spiritual lives. And His Holiness Dudjom Rinpoche said, one of in his teachings, even you didn't reach highest realization in this life, but if we leave this world, when we leave this world without any regrets, and we leave this song with happy, peaceful, if we leave that, actually even His Holiness Dudjom Rinpoche said, that is good result. That is good. Live with this world with happy, contente. That is sign of the good practitioners. Really, if we leave this world with regret and disappointment, then that is not good. So therefore, at least, and for that reason, here he gives the instructions of how to take refuge, and then we went through all the refuge practices. We went bodhicitta, we went 6 paramatas, we extended that, and then His Holiness Dudjom Rinpoche highlighted 4 treasures of all the practitioners. 4 treasures. And so those 4 treasures, if we had those 12 treasures of richness, we will be always rich of the practice. Our practice will be ever fresh, lasting fresh and strong, energetic, and always really advancing. That we don't have to be disappointed ourselves, feel bad. We will be so happy. This practice will really keep our mind more healthy, physical more healthy, and then not just ours, but it also some degree we can help it to the others. Others, so nice and very peaceful, very natural levels to help to that. So this is so important and special. Of course, generally all Buddha teaching, but this instruction is very simple and directed, and so that's what we completed. And thank you very much everyone for your participation, and we completed it. Thank you very much everyone.